will have mercy for me. No one. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't have mercy for me either. Oh.
This is the exact moment 20-year-old Raymond Durst realized that he slipped up. But this case was like no other, with many hidden secrets and conflicting opinions.
Hey! Hey!
Let Ariana be okay. Please let her.
This is the exact moment when Judy realized her 18-year-old daughter, Ariana Ptarcinski, was dead. Cops were about to discover the horrifying secrets of the entire family. It all began with a 911 call.
Listen to me. What happened?
I don't know what happened.
Okay, listen to me. Sir, is someone hurt? You need to tell me yes or no. Is someone hurt?
Yes, my daughter's neck is cut. My daughter's neck is cut. What happened? She's upset. Got a knife, dude.
Who has a knife? Someone, I can't understand what's going on.
But what appeared to be an open and shut case became the biggest mysteries of Hernando County.
I want to cry.
Everybody was under suspicion. The mother,
I'm not a bad mom.
the father, and the boyfriend.
I want a hug. Like a man. I don't deserve one.
But justice for Ariana seemed out of reach until some clues began appearing. Born on July 28, 2003, Ariana Alexandra Ptarcinski was raised by her parents Eddie and Judy in Spring Hill, Florida. Just 6 years later, they welcomed their second daughter, Isabella, and completed their happy little family. Growing up, Ariana took her duties as a protective older sister seriously. She and Isabella remained close and always kept an eye out for each other. Ariana completed her training with the Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, while at school. But not only had Ariana achieved her high school qualification, she'd also started her first serious relationship. Just a few months before graduating, mutual friends introduced Ariana to 20-year-old Ramon Durst, an electrician's apprentice from Florida, and the two had started dating. After completing school, Ariana was interested in pursuing a career as a mortician. She'd taken her first steps towards becoming an adult by starting a part-time job at Hobby Lobby and obtaining her driver's license. Ariana was also looking to enroll in online college classes in January of 2022. However, those dreams were about to be sliced away. On Christmas Eve 2021, the Ptarcinski family were all invited to a large family gathering at her grandparents' house in Florida to celebrate the holiday. Ramon had also joined Ariana and her family for the night of revelry. After a rather enjoyable evening, they returned to their home in Spring Hill at around midnight. Ramon had planned to sleep over that night on the couch in the lounge. Exhausted, Eddie and Judy retired to their bedroom. 12-year-old Isabella also decided to go to her room and watch a movie and had fallen asleep in the process. Ariana and Ramon wanted to spend a little more time together before calling it a night and went upstairs to her room to talk. Just as Eddie had started to fall asleep, he was awoken by Ramon screaming for him. Confused, Eddie woke up and walked to his bedroom door just as Judy began to get out of bed as well. When he opened the door, his confusion quickly turned to shock and panic. Just outside Ariana's door stood Ramon, covered in blood. He was holding Ariana by her hair and neck as blood oozed from a cut on her neck. Ariana gave Eddie a pleading and pained look before losing consciousness and falling to the floor, still bleeding from the wound. In that panicked moment, Eddie called 911. The operator tried, with difficulty, to listen to what Eddie was reporting, but in the background, there was another voice shouting and cursing.
Listen to me. What happened?
I don't know what happened.
Okay, listen to me. Sir, is someone hurt? You need to tell me yes or no. Is someone hurt?
Yes, my daughter's neck is cut. My daughter's neck is cut. What happened? She's upset. Got a knife, dude.
Who has a knife? Someone, I can't understand what's going on.
At the same time, Isabella woke up after hearing the commotion in the hallway. When she stepped out of her room, she saw that her sister had fallen to the floor with Ramon still gripping her hair. She watched and listened as both Eddie and Ramon shouted over each other, but couldn't understand what each man was saying. Isabella stood still and watched as Ramon carried the unconscious Ariana by the hair into her parents' bedroom. It was then she noticed the bloody trail leading from Ariana's room to their parents' bedroom. After leaving an injured Ariana in Eddie and Judy's bedroom, Ramon made his way downstairs, followed by Eddie. Both men continued to argue with each other, and Eddie blamed Ramon for killing his daughter. In the meanwhile, Thomas and Melissa Lobianco, who lived 3 houses away from the Ptarcinski family, had heard loud arguing and contacted the Hernando County Sheriff's Office to report the disturbance. From their window, the Lobiancos watched as Eddie and another man they were not familiar with walked out of the house and into the front yard. Concerned, Thomas decided to walk over to speak with Eddie and find out what was going on. The closer he got to Eddie, he could make out what his neighbor was screaming about. According to Thomas, Eddie was accusing the younger man of killing his daughter. When Thomas looked at the other man approaching Eddie, he readied himself for confrontation. The young man was covered in blood, shouting and approaching Eddie in an aggressive manner. Fearing that Eddie was in danger, Thomas stepped in and slapped the young man to stop him. When that didn't work, Thomas balled up his hand into a fist and knocked the man to the ground. It was then he realized that the man was Ramon, Ariana's boyfriend. Ramon continued screaming about going to jail for what he'd just done.
This kid came out of the house covered in blood, and Eddie's yelling at him, saying, "You effing killed her, you effing killed her." The kid says, "Well, what the F doesn't matter, I'm going to jail anyway."
At that moment, paramedics arrived at the house and rushed to the master bedroom to check on Ariana. They were followed by the police, who secured the scene outside. Ariana, who was still bleeding profusely, was stabilized at the scene and rushed to the Bayonet Point Hospital for emergency surgery. The scene was chaotic as Eddie and Ramon continued to scream at each other. Police forced Eddie to his knees by pointing a rifle at him, and he eventually complied and allowed them to arrest him. Ramon was also handcuffed and didn't put up much of a struggle. Police then escorted both Judy and Isabella out of the house as the crime scene technicians went to work gathering evidence from inside the home. Isabella was taken into protective custody as Judy was detained by the police and put into a police cruiser. According to police, Judy was allegedly heavily intoxicated and behaving hysterically. Dashcam footage and audio showed that Judy was distraught and begging for Ariana to be saved. She began banging on the windows to get the attention of the deputies, as she just wanted information about Ariana.
Please, please, please. God. Please. Let Ariana be okay. God, please let her. Let her. Let her. Okay.
A deputy then asked Judy if it was okay that Isabella stayed with her cousin Melissa. However, Judy requested that she be sent to stay with her grandmother instead.
You know Melissa, right?
Melissa.
Your cousin?
Yes.
Okay, her last name's Galza.
What's going on?
Real quick, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this film.
What do you mean?
She's sitting in the back of the car,
Okay.
which isn't cool. She's 12 years old. So I just want to make sure that we have your permission that she can be with Melissa for.
Where's my? No, I want my mom. I want my mom to be with her.
Okay, where's she at?
Get the Florida.
Well, where does your mom live?
Spring Hill too.
Okay.
Judy then broke down, overwhelmed with everything that happened that night. Judy began calling out to the police, feeling ignored despite her efforts to get their attention.
Hey! Hey! You hear me? I know you do. Please, please.
Why are you doing this?
My baby!
After almost half an hour of pleading, Judy begged for information about both of her daughters and requested to use the bathroom, which was denied.
Hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, can you tell me, is my mom and my dad back here? Can you please help me? Stop being nasty to me. Please, tell me, is my daughter okay? I have to pee. I'm gonna pee in here. If you don't let me go, please. Just let me pull my pants down and go outside. Please, I have to pee really bad. I've been knocking. And you have been listening. Please let me go. Please. Can you let me go? I know I can't hold it anymore. I've been knocking. I can't hold it. I'm gonna go in my pants. Please. I'm not a bad mom. I love my girls. I don't know what happened.
The officer in charge continued to inform Judy that she was unable to provide further information and was uncertain about what had occurred. Judy expressed confusion about Ariana's injury, stating that she was unaware of what happened that night.
Where's my phone?
I don't know where your phone is.
It's inside. Can you please let me text him?
No, I'm not allowed in the house. It's a crime scene.
What do you mean a crime scene?
It's a crime scene.
How?
Your daughter got hurt.
How?
I don't know. You have to tell me that.
How did she get hurt?
I don't know. How did she get hurt?
I don't.
What happened?
I don't know. Like, what happened to her?
I don't know. I only know what you tell me. And you told me you don't know. So
I don't know. Is my mom and my dad here?
No, I told you I don't know.
Can I please call them?
I can't get your phone. If it's in the house, I'm not allowed.
Can I call them from your phone? Please.
The deputy eventually told Judy that Ariana was stabbed and it was now a criminal investigation. She explained that Judy was being held for questioning because she was inside the house when the incident happened and police needed to clarify what occurred that night. For over 50 minutes, Judy was ignored despite her confusion and kept in the dark while officers worked to collect evidence at the house. In a separate police cruiser, Ramon was also detained while the investigation team continued to look for evidence in the house.
Am I going to get emails?
Yeah, they're coming. They went to the house first. What's your name? You from Spring Hill? Huh? Okay. How old are you? How old are you?
Can I just say something? Can we have a little back and forth real quick?
Let's have back and forth. Go ahead.
My leg's open right now.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. You see what the situation is.
I don't know what the situation is. I've been
What?
outside with you.
Okay. What do you think the situation is?
I don't know. I don't want to assume. You see what I'm covered in? Okay. What happened?
I don't know. I can't. I'm just going to say something because I know.
Well, I see you, the dad out there fighting, so I don't know.
Look, all right, you don't know, but I know. But the situation is like, I'm 20 years old. I love that. I love it.
In contrast to Judy's demeanor, Ramon appeared to be resigned to his fate. However, he did cry when he thought about his life and Ariana and what had happened that night. Ramon also seemed to be concerned about what was in store for him and continued to ask the officer about what was going to happen.
It sounds like almost too ridiculous.
What sounds almost too ridiculous?
Well, what do you think happened?
Listen, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and try to guess and try to figure out.
I'm sitting here covered in blood in the back of a cop car on Christmas Day.
Well, that's why we're trying to figure it out. You were out there in a physical fight with somebody's dad. That's all I know.
But I thought you knew what was going on.
No, I don't. That's why I keep trying to tell you.
Why are we talk about that?
Huh?
Why are we talk about that? Can you let me know, like, how, like, what's gonna happen? Like, we leave here and then what?
2224, one of the units on the scene.
I go to the police station, correct? And then after the police station, after I arrive at the police station, then what happens?
I don't know. It depends on whatever went on here.
Does it? I want to cry.
Huh?
I want to cry.
Go ahead, cry.
No one will have mercy for me. No one. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't have mercy for me either. It's like ridiculous, you know? You know, like, no way. No way life is just fucking ridiculous. Oh. I just want to hug. Hug, man. I don't deserve one. I feel bad about.
When the officer began asking Ramon for personal information, he grew paranoid, believing the officer was trying to get incriminating information from him. Ramon went as far as to ask the officer to show him what was written down in the notebook. He also told the officer that he didn't feel comfortable giving out personal information in case it was leaked and his own family would be entangled in the drama at the Ptarcinski house. After the officer left the car for a moment, Ramon can be heard speaking to himself and apologizing to Ariana.
I love you, Ariana. Sorry. Oh.
Ramon was left alone in the car and sat in silence until paramedics arrived to check on him. After being given a clear bill of health, he returned to his rumination and began a conversation with the officer. Ramon's major concern was finding a way forward through the mess he was in. Ramon then made small talk with the officer, inquiring about his Christmas Day plans and his thoughts about criminals.
How am I supposed to go on? Officer Dowdell.
Yeah. I couldn't hear you.
How do you think one goes on?
Huh?
How do you think one goes on in a situation like this?
I don't know the situation. That's why it's kind of hard for me to give you an answer.
I love her. It's like, no way, you know? Christmas. No way. Right? I don't want to get raped.
In the moments he wasn't talking to the officer, he mumbled to himself about Ariana.
That's all I envisioned with her. She was my life. Look at me. I deserve everything. Hatred of the world will be brought down upon me.
Throughout the footage, Ramon exhibited moments of deep thought and feelings of guilt for what had happened. However, he appeared to be wary about revealing too much to the officer. The conversation ended after the officer was given the go-ahead to transport Ramon to the police station for questioning. Alone in the interrogation room, Ramon sat quietly and rested his head on the table. What happened next was shocking, to say the least. After about 7 minutes, an officer entered the room and informed him that he was not being charged. He sounded surprised by the news and asked about Ariana.
All right. Took the handcuffs off you? All right, listen, we're going to get you out of here. We looked into the case a little bit further, and we're not charging you with anything.
What?
We're not going to charge you anything right now. Okay? We're going to look into it a little further, make sure some things are the way they're supposed to be, so you're going to get out of here. But I want to ask you something. Is it okay if we take pictures of what happened with you? Since we don't know if you happen to be a victim of something, we'd like to have evidence of that too. So if you don't mind, would we be able to take pictures of you? Of your injuries and stuff that you got hurt?
Do you know anything? Yes, but do you know anything about her?
As far as I know, she's still in surgery. They're still working on her.
Do you know what time it is?
7:30. Actually, 7:35. And I know it seems scary that she's in surgery for a long time, but they take their time to make sure everything's the right way. So sometimes things take quite a long time. So she's still okay. She's still in surgery, and we don't know anything more than that.
The officer then went on to explain that Ramon would be photographed and examined for any forensic evidence before being released. Again, Ramon sounded unsure about what was happening as the officer told him what was to come.
Right now, they're not being charged.
Do you know why?
Like you think we want to screw you, but that's not the case. We want to make sure we do everything right. So if there's something that you need to be held responsible for, you will be. But if there's not, you won't be. So instead of rushing into something and doing all this stuff, we decided to back up and take our time a little bit and look into it a little bit further. Because there's always things maybe we don't know about. Okay? So, that's what we're going to do. And so I'm glad they took that stuff off you and you've been sitting here okay.
He's then told by the officer that the investigation team would remain in contact with him, and if they needed him to answer more questions, they'd look for him and bring him in for another interview. The officer went on to explain to Ramon that only if he did not cooperate, they would have to resort to getting an arrest warrant for him.
But, as long as if you're cooperative with us and you keep in touch with us, we have no reason to come jack you up at your business or wherever you're working at. If something has to happen, you can run all you want. We'll come get you wherever you are. You know what I mean? It's not. You're a young kid. If you run away, it doesn't make no sense. If something's going to happen, running isn't going to solve the problem.
Ramon then asked the officer about getting a change of clothes and getting hold of his personal belongings and car. The officer responded by telling him that he'd be given a standard white jumpsuit and his personal effects would be handed back to him once the investigation team had cleared the house. Ramon was also assured that he'd be driven back to the house to get his car. The police appeared to be making sure Ramon was comfortable and taken care of. Ramon then inquired about getting information about Ariana's recovery, to which the officer said that only the family would be allowed to see her in hospital and that it was a strong possibility that they would not want Ramon to be privy to that information. The conversation returned to what kind of charges Ramon might be charged with, and he was told that it fell under the umbrella of domestic battery due to him having a relationship with the victim. The officer again told Ramon that they were not out to pin anything on him, and all they wanted to do was to get to the truth of the matter. After completing their examination of Ramon, he was left alone in the room as officers made arrangements for him to be released. While sitting in silence, Ramon can be heard asking for a miracle.
Please, come on, Ariana. Be stronger than before. I don't want to lose you. I swear if we get through this, I'm going to marry you right now. Get through this. Promise.
When the officer returned to tell him that they'd be driving him back to the Ptarcinski house to get his car and belongings, Ramon once again asks about Ariana.
Do you know when you last updated on her?
I haven't heard for like 2 hours.
2 hours ago she was still in surgery?
Yeah, she was still in surgery, but they were talking well.
Who?
The surgeons, well, when we first started this night, we thought she was going to die.
She was dead.
Yeah, well, modern miracle in medicine, okay? They can do a lot.
They were sounding hopeful?
Yeah, they were sounding hopeful, but I you know what I mean?
Can you tell me what they said? Like,
I didn't talk to them. All I know is that their surgery went well, and they were closing up and doing their things, you know what I mean? But, I mean, it's weird, and you've heard it, like, if some weird blood clot could just float down and hit the wrong thing, and she could go sideways, tomorrow morning or in 2 hours from now, you know what I mean? So, the surgery went well. That's all I can tell you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to get, I'm hopeful. I would like to be hopeful, but you know what I mean? But, at the same time, I'm also a realist that...
He was thereafter taken back to the house and allowed to return to his grandmother's home pending further investigation. Ramon remained confident that Ariana might just pull through after all, but little did he or anyone know that their hope was about to be snuffed out. Despite the heroic efforts of trauma doctors at the hospital, Ariana was placed on life support due to complications after her initial surgery. Given the poor prognosis, her parents eventually pulled her off life support on the morning of December 26, 2021. An autopsy was performed on Ariana by 6th District Medical Examiner Dr. Wayne Kurz. In his report, he concluded that Ariana's death was caused by a fatal knife wound to the neck. He ruled her death as a homicide, stating that the wound was inflicted by another person. Ariana was laid to rest on December 30th, 2021 in Spring Hills, Florida. However, the Ptarcinski family's journey of despair was only just beginning. Even though the ME ruled Ariana's death a homicide, there had been no official suspect according to the investigation thus far. Looking back at the night of the incident, Ramon had never been read his Miranda rights or questioned about his involvement in the death of Ariana. Instead, he was treated as a victim while being interviewed at the police station. Complicating things even further was the fact that Ramon had got himself a lawyer in the time since he was released from police custody and was refusing to cooperate any further with the investigation into Ariana's alleged murder. The only information Eddie and Judy ever received at the time was that Ariana's case had been handed over to the state attorney's office for review in order to formulate charges if there were to be any. For the next year and a half, the Ptarcinski family waited anxiously for news of charges being made in the death of Ariana. Each time they'd inquire about progress of the case with detectives and officials from the sheriff's office, they were met with the same response. The state attorney was still in the process of reviewing the case. In the meanwhile, they celebrated Ariana's life and held a special memorial to commemorate what would have been her 20th birthday on July 28, 2023.
Ariana Ptarcinski would have celebrated her 20th birthday Friday, but instead, her family says they feel helpless. They released lanterns to keep their daughter's memory alive.
Every year we are going to do something for her, because she deserves that.
But their celebration of a short but beautiful life was soured by unwelcome news. On August 16, 2023, Assistant State Attorney Peter Magrino wrote a letter to the Hernando County Sheriff's Office detailing his official findings in Ariana's case. The Ptarcinski family were contacted and told that the state had decided not to file charges in the death of Ariana. They were also informed that the case was going to be officially closed. However, in the event that someone came forward with new evidence that could be shed on the case, it would be reopened for investigation. The sheriff's office also released a statement regarding Ariana's death and subsequent investigation. They stated that in accordance with Florida law, a death caused by an act of negligence could not be used to charge an individual with a criminal offense without mens rea. Simply put, without mens rea meant that throughout the investigation, the detectives could not find any evidence that suggested there was an intention to murder, nor was the suspected individual aware of any wrongdoing. They defended their investigation as being thorough and having covered all aspects of the case to the best of their knowledge. These findings caused an uproar within the Ptarcinski family and the community of Spring Hill. Questions were raised as to whether a proper investigation had been done. Several crucial facts were overlooked during the investigation, including the return of Ramon's wallet by the investigating officer, the discovery of 2 knives in Ariana's bedroom that were not properly examined, and the failure to collect a bedsheet with Ramon's bloody handprint for evidence. Experts in the field of criminal investigations looked into the case as it had captured the attention of those working within the fields of criminal justice. Most notably were retired New York detective John Beza and Dr. David Thomas, a former police officer turned professor of forensic studies and criminal justice at Florida's Gulf Coast University. Beza focused on the dashcam footage that had been made publicly available and stated that Ramon had basically made several admissions of guilt without being asked anything. To his knowledge, Beza believed that if this evidence had been properly reviewed and analyzed, there would be probable cause to arrest and question Ramon about his involvement in Ariana's death. Thomas, on the other hand, reviewed the 370-page document that covered the investigation into Ariana's death. He concluded that much of the filings focused on what the public had thought of the department's investigation into the case. There were news articles, social media posts, and emails made by Eddie Ptarcinski filed away along with the case document. He also touched on the treatment of Judy Ptarcinski as being disrespectful and unreasonable, despite her not being involved in any way with what happened to Ariana the night she was stabbed. The sheriff's office stood by their investigation methods and returned to 2 key points that they believed had made the state attorney's office reconsider criminal charges against Ramon. A search through text messages shared between the couple and interviews with friends suggested that Ariana and Ramon had a normal relationship like any other couple. They had their ups and downs, but there was no evidence of any physical altercation between the two prior to that fateful night. Another discovery made during the initial investigation was Ariana's artwork. She'd been a very talented artist, but her drawings were dark and often depicted morbid images. In one drawing, completed just 15 months before her death, Ariana had drawn a young woman bleeding from the neck after suffering from a self-inflicted knife wound. This theory that Ariana was depressed and used her art to express a desire to end her life was quashed by her friends and family, who said that Ariana had not been contemplating such things and had always had a fascination with the macabre. In reviewing the investigator's theory, Thomas said that he would have agreed that Ariana's artwork did back up the investigative findings of a possible attempt to end one's life. However, the fact that the medical examiner strongly believed that it was a homicide and the wound inflicted could only have been caused by another person dispelled that theory completely. Despite these experts having weighed in with their opinions, it has not changed the stance of the sheriff's office, and the case remains closed to this day. Ariana's family, though, have not given up on finding justice for Ariana. For them, the lack of a resolution to her untimely death has left a festering wound, and they refuse to rest until the answers to their questions are found.
We don't know what exactly happened in that room, but all I know is our daughter's not here, and there's no charges against this kid whatsoever.
They've taken to social media and signed petitions to have her case reopened and see that justice is served. Many people have joined with the Ptarcinski family to have their voices heard on behalf of Ariana. Those that knew Ariana have taken to online forums to spread awareness about her story. Ramon Durst had found himself a lawyer and has not been questioned any further about what occurred the night Ariana was stabbed. Many people have voiced their concerns on social media platforms about the recurring pattern of violence against young women, which in many cases as of late occurred at the hands of a partner. In seeking the answers for Ariana and her family, they believed this would stir the change needed in the justice system. The case of Ariana Ptarcinski remains one that we all hope to find an answer to. It's contradictory, as there appears to be probable cause, yet the lack of thorough investigation resulted in no charges being filed. So, taking these mind-boggling conundrums into account, today we ask you, who do you think murdered Ariana? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you found today's video interesting, please consider subscribing to M7 Crime Storytime, hit the like button, and share our videos with other crime aficionados. Also, if you have any crime story that you'd like us to cover, leave us a message in the comment section below. Until next time,